the idea of the spiral method, so to speak, is what every one of us live all the time. We say, well, I've already done that. I thought I was over that. I already learned that. And I'd like to invite you into the energy of the beginner. The beginner mind is open to all possibility, and the expert mind is open to few. Suzuki says that. And the expert mind is closed, so open to the beginner. We're always learning, and there's always more. And if you utilize the energy of the spiral, it goes deeper and deeper and deeper, and you're always revisiting the same thing. You're always going to come back to yourself, come back to yourself, come back to yourself. But also, you're always going to revisit the same themes and topics. Sure, you've done shadow work. Sure, you've done shadow work. Sure, you've done it. And you're going to go deeper and deeper, because the person you were 10 years ago who did it is not the person you are today. And so opening ourselves, our bodies, our energy field to that beginner mind and that student, Christ said that too. Be childlike, be meek, be humble, because it's a teachable place. And it's an expansive place. That first part of it. And the second part is the aspect of compartments. So we talked about ourselves and to know the whole, it's really cool to know the parts. And when I say that is you don't have to, you can know the whole, but when you take the time, it's almost like when you meet a partner. Oh, I know you. I've met you, but when I really sit down and I start to intimately know you, and I start to know all the little aspects of your little quirks, when you make tea, I know that you want the tea bag in first and then you pour the water. Don't do it the other way around. That's just how you like it. That's knowing you more intimately. And so it's the same thing with these different aspects of ourselves. And if you conceptualize this thing that's very inconceptual, I like to see it as compartments. And so if you open the sphere above yourself of, okay, here I am, but then I have all these aspects. I have my personality. I have the Salenta that I've always known, that my mother named me. It's my human aspect. I have my insecurities, my limitations. I have the next aspect. Maybe it's my higher self, this infinite soul part of me that is so expansive, that's very wise, that feels like it has something to do here, but it really is guiding this aspect, the human self, to be able to go forward. And then I have these aspects of my personality even, Sometimes we tune into different energies or archetypes. Dragon energy, we want to bring that forward. Mermaid energy, we want to bring that forward. We want to connect to our primal self, the drums and the earth and the mama. We want to really connect to that, and that's an aspect. We want to connect to our galactic past, the past that we feel. We look at those stars and we know that that's in our bones, in our cells, but it's really our soul. Like, we feel that so strongly, yet we have no clue. But we feel it, and that's a stream. And so if you start to see these different compartments that we have, then you start to be able to access them anytime you feel that you need them. Because you can sense, this is what I feel, and I feel lacking, or I want more love, or I don't feel confident. Well, which aspect of myself can I get this from? And you can start to open and then pull it down and pull it through into yourself. Really what you're doing is you're accessing your multidimensionality, but on a physical way. But how do you conceptualize it and do it on the physical? So this is one way to be able to start to see it that way. These different aspects that we're playing with, and to see it as things that you're playing with. You might want to, my sister reminded me of this. I always thought and felt that I wasn't a very strong person growing up. I remember I was 12 years old, I was sitting in my room. I would spend a lot of time in my room. At this time, it was also, I was conversing with my guides a lot. I didn't realize it at the time, but now looking back, that was happening. And I just thought I was not a very powerful person, or a strong person is actually the word it was. I felt weak to some extent. I did have a very soft personality to some extent, but I was also not soft, if you ask my sister. who had a younger sister. And so, but I didn't recognize that. I just thought I was a weak person, right? So I've identified with this, and it's always been something I wanted strength. So I've been going toward. But we have these aspects of ourselves that we identify with. They can be positive or they can be negative. But what happens is those aspects of ourselves shape us. So I was also in a relationship that I couldn't get out of. It was a very soul-connected relationship. Some would say it's a twin flame. And it's such a high, beautiful relationship because you're coming together in chaos and then you go apart and you're fueling all the stuff. And sure, that's so pretty and very high-minded and super conscious, except for it was super unhealthy and also not serving me. And also just reinforcing the belief I'm not worthy. So it doesn't matter, but it was these labels. So we have these labels and these words and they're powerful. And on one hand, we say that labels are bad and they limit us. On the other hand, they expand us and they can also set us free. So it's about using the label, okay? So today, that's what we're going to do. We're going to go into these labels, these words, these identities that we have of ourselves. As we start to expand into more of ourselves, it's about noticing the judgments that we have on some of these labels, these identities. And it's the spiral. You're going to go through this over and over. Even just a month ago, redefining how it is that I speak about my work and what I do. And noticing through technology, putting everything in to AI and having them spit something out. And it comes out with, oh, what you're doing is self-realization. And I'm like, I am not self-realized. How can I say that I am a self-realization guide? Are you kidding me? Like, I'm not that. Who am I to say that? You know, that feels like I'm not a master of that. You know, I want to be in alignment. I want to have, if I'm going to teach something and share something, it has to be something that I am so fully aware of and conscious of and integrated with. I can't say I'm that. My guides are like, you done yet? You know, it was this battle in my head. And so this process that I'm going to share with you, it's about writing down the words that you have a resistance to, that may or may not be parts of yourself, but are, and it can be in the light or in the shadow. So in this example, for me, it was self-realization. And then I went through my whole career. I did it on a business level of the limitations. I didn't want to be a coach, although I was coaching people, but I never called myself a coach. I would be a consultant. I would be something, you know, a love coach. I didn't like that, but I've been doing intimacy work and relationship work and conscious relating for over 10 years, but I never called myself a love coach. And I was wondering and thinking and feeling in my body the limitation that that caused. And I just started writing down all the things that I had a judgment against, or that I thought I wasn't there yet, or that I thought that isn't me because it's too much. So I have a judgment, but it's a positive judgment. It's still, anytime we're putting something on a pedestal and it's above us, it's also, you're putting it in the shadow because we have access to everything. There's no hierarchy. I'm not better than you. You're not better than me. Because when I sat with those words and I was like, oh, self-realization, what's my idea about what that is? I have been assisting people to realize parts of themselves this whole time, and that's what I've been doing. And so it's a journey. Self-realization is a journey. It's something we're always going to open to. And so I have this and this and this, and reframing it in my mind of like, oh, I am in alignment with that if I step into myself, if I can release the judgment, and if I can just sit with that word. How does it feel in my body? Move through the discomfort and embrace. So today we're about these identities, because those words are identities, they're labels. It's just aspects. So what, for you, yourself, if it's in your job, if it's personal, if it's, you know, I'm strong, I'm weak, or maybe it's something you've told yourself or someone has told yourself. For instance, that relationship that I was in, why I kept not being able to get out of it, because it would always come back to one thing. And until I cleared that one identity that I had about myself, I couldn't release it, which was value. I wasn't valuable. I wasn't worthy enough for someone to just want to be with me and not want to be with me. And so when I cleared it, I could release that. And then it was still a hard thing to not, but I had no want or desire to go back to him. the cord was cut because I had cut the cord to not being worthy. Whatever part that is ready to, identity that is ready to be released today, and go about it. Our mind is super tricky, so we're going to trick our minds. So you're going to do it in a way that whatever, just write down any words, any titles, any aspects you have a judgment against, like self-realization. If you're a self-realization coach, I love you, but am I? No. Okay? So, and remember, everyone around us is our mirror, meaning that it's so hard to see ourselves, but it's easy to see someone else. So if you have people close to your life that you have a resistance to, or, they're that, label that thing and you don't like it, you feel a huge trigger in that word, write it down, because usually there's an aspect of that in you as well. Yeah. The only way you can see yourselves in the mirror. Yeah, it's a really good point. And then next, what identities do you feel like you need, that you'd like more of, that you haven't cultivated or identified with yet? Like, for instance, being realized, being actualized, being whole, being healed. Maybe you thought yourself as a speaker, you're going to be one day, but you're not that yet. Anything that you haven't stepped into fully, but somewhere inside of you, you feel is a possibility within yourself. What do you want to bring into your life? Who do you want to be? Okay, and then I want you to take it one step further. I'd like you to just sit with your list and read this list. And when you're feeling it in your body, you're feeling it, and as you feel it, breathe it in so that it lands in your body, so that you're integrating, so that you're embodying it, that you're using the body and the sensation to be able to first inform you if you have an attraction or repulsion from it. And secondly, to be able to integrate it anyway, because you're everything. You're literally everything. So allowing yourself to be it, allowing it to physically come into your body. You're inviting it in on a sensation level. How does it feel to be the biggest expression of yourself? The grandest expression of yourself? What is the grandest thing on that list? How does it feel to embody it, to be it? Feeling into your body, breathing into your belly, allowing it to sink down into your cells, into your belly. Using the breath to bring it in, to integrate it, to soften yourself, to soften the judgment of yourself. To know that you are worthy. You are enough. You are capable. Of all of it. And especially the one thing. And then to allow your mind to create, to play, to expand into a playful space of what if. Of, okay, if I was this, if I were these things, what then? Who would I be? How would it feel? What would I do? What would I say? Who would I be around? What then? And again, come at it from a playful place. So if you notice in your body any fear, any resistance, just observe it. Maybe you rock into it and you nurture that resistance or fear, because fear is informing you. It's informing you that in the past, maybe you haven't felt safe to do that. So giving yourself permission to honor where you are, where you've been, where you've come from, what you've experienced. Breathing into the fear. Fear is in our belly. Do you know what's also in your belly? Excitement is in your belly too. So as you start to shake a little and move, feeling that fear, that what if, maybe that fear is excitement, just what if, or what if it could be? What if I was excited to be this? How would that feel? How would that look? What if I was excited to start this new life all by myself? What if I wasn't by myself? What if I had it inside of me all along? And what if it's ready to come forward now? The reason I offer you movement often and connecting to your body is that that's what embodiment is. It's being in your body, right? And so especially with spiritual work, where it's always here. It's the spiritual is the non-tangible. It's the unseen, and it's beautiful. And at the same time, it's about integrating the two. And so it's always reminding ourselves to come back and to integrate it into our bodies so that our bodies can start to help us. So we don't have to work against our body. As we can start when we're meditating and when we're accessing these higher states and realms, if we can do that and then invite it in, and do that and invite it in, what you're doing is you are then using the natural rhythm of nature, which is expansion and contraction. Then you're going with the breath. You are expanding into something new, and then you're contracting, and what that does for you is it allows you to integrate more easily and expand more easily, because otherwise you're expanding and it's too much, and then the contraction is too much, and then you're closed down again. But if you can do it more rhythmically and start to feel your own rhythm and your own breath, like when you're meditating, some meditations are about the breath. It's about connecting to the breath and the rhythm of yourself. So as we're doing this and we're into this thing of expansion, using the in and the out, expanding into idea and grounding it into our body with the breath, okay?